What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday to you. Only 2 more days left in the year. You know, I am very much convinced that 2024 is going to be it's going to be an awful year. And I hate to be pessimistic, but I feel like there's going to be some pretty volatile things that happens in the world. Um, and people who have faith, like, obviously it's going to be a test of our faith. Let's just put it like that. But just a lot of interesting things, revelations. I think the Me Too movement is on a roll the last couple of months of this year. You had what is it dang, how many people got Me Too? A bunch of black guys this year. I guess they're trying to make it like a black guy thing, right? They need those narratives about black men being aggressors. So you've had Puff Daddy come out. They've Me Too Diddy. They've Me Too. I think Jermaine Jackson is on the list. I think Jamie Foxx was on the list. And now you got DJ Academics, who is on the Me Too train now. And let me tell you something. If you look at the videos that are circulating, the interview, the story time with Academics, where he's trying to make himself look better, and you look at the actual footage that is now circulating from his home, the sounds that you hear in the background sounds like somebody who is terrified, who is being attacked. They're horrible sounds. And I want to say something about this red pill movement. And Academics, obviously, he seems to be very favorable towards this red pill movement. And unfortunately, you have a lot of apostate Christians who are also very much involved with this red pill movement. And in this movement, you have these men who have some moral superiority over women, right? They're hyper chauvinistic men. They don't, if they're a Christian, they don't even follow the Bible's perspective on men and women, the in-depth perspective beyond leadership. So you have a lot of apostates in this community, and it's hard. It is really, really hard. And I am an imperfect human, and I grapple with my imperfections. I always ask God, what? Help me, lead me to be, as consistent in my behaviors as I am with my messaging. And it is hard. Trust me. We live around a lot of satanic influences. We are fleshly humans. We have our own desires that we contend with. There's a lot of things that we contend with. But at the end of the day, I really try to make sure that the message that I give to people is consistent to the way that I choose to live my life as well. And with that, you got DJ Academics here, who this dude, he talks about, hip hop commentary. I don't think his takes are particularly valid all the time. And I think he's a relatively younger person, so he has a younger perspective on music and the music industry in general. And he's been wrong about a number of takes. You could tell his takes were very immature. But getting back to his attachment with the red pill, you could see that, he was this sort of red pill guy, right? And, these guys project, supposed to have high standards or whatever, except for morality. And they objectify women. And when they objectify women, and they believe that they're justified in doing this because they're wealthy, and that's sort of why I believe that the young lady who came out, who's in that video, horrified that Academics pretty much made a mockery of, in his little story time. I believe her, and I'm not one of those people that believe all women. When they start coming out with stuff on Russell Crowe, it's like, okay, let me get some more information. But what I think is weird is academics must have known that this girl was about to pursue some legal action, because he dropped this story time and he had to create some narrative, right? And the narrative that he created was just completely, to me, it was just, you could definitely, it's heard of. Obviously, you have women who sleep with their dudes' friends all the time, but it just, you know, I don't know a lot of women, and obviously I'm not cut from these behavioral groups like the poverty line and all that stuff, where, you know, I would, feel compelled to, relinquish my dignity by just having a sex with a room full of men. Like, I don't know a lot of women where that's their thing, and it didn't seem like there was any money being put on the table. He didn't talk about anything like that. He just seemed like this person voluntarily had sex with all of his friends that night. And then when you listen to the tape, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of voluntary things that was happening after, that was a horrible sounding tape. But off that, a lot of things are going on in this world. And, you see just the spirit of Satanism eating up the people that bought into it. And, sometimes people will laugh and mock other people because maybe they don't have as many followers or they don't have as much money. And then all of a sudden, and then they want to, act like they're holier than thou. And some of them are even making clean mockeries of God in their persona for their credibility. And then God shows them. He shows them. And a lot of people are being shown. T.D. Jakes being shown. You cannot mock God. You cannot mock God. And what is practiced in the dark, it will come to the light. It will come to the light. So, we are all accountable for our behaviors. We are all accountable for practicing what we preach. And that means that, a lot of times in order for us to be humble, God has to humiliate us or allow us to be humiliated. So interesting. And, I hope that, if what we hear in that tape is an attack on that young woman, I hope every last one of those people are thrown in jail. They should be thrown in jail. And academics should lose everything. Everything. He should lose everything immediately. So I pray for that young lady. I really do. It seems like Sam Bankman-Fried is going to really skate off. They keep dropping charges here and there. All I can say is that the supremacy in this country is real. And when you want to talk about just the category of white supremacy, I categorize that as your Jewish whites, your Christian whites, and your categorized Muslim whites. And I did not put them in alphabetical order for a reason. And that's not being anti-Semitic, but the patterns don't lie. And you can label people until the cows come home, but the patterns don't lie. From the Bernie Madoffs to these Sam Bankman-Fried, it seems like there's a demographic in this nation of America that needs to check their people. And that's not even being threatening. That's not wishing harm upon anybody. That's saying, hey, your people are out of line. They're doing shady shit, and maybe you should check them. Like, maybe instead of attacking people or feeling attacked every time someone has a criticism or mentions a pattern observation, maybe you should start checking your people. Just check your people, you know, instead of allowing them to continue to do the foul shit that they do, you know. And I'm sorry, some of your Talmudists, they enable this stuff because they believe that it's okay to be disrespectful for people that are not like them. So if you're not like that and you are someone who's feels like, oh my God, it's a rise in anti-Semitism, maybe you should look at your people that's manufacturing it, those sentiments, because those sentiments don't come out of nowhere. So I'm just going to leave it there with that. Sam Bankman-Fried got privilege. That's white privilege right there. If you want to have a clear definition of the white privilege, there you go. There's an example of that. He's just, you know, he falls into one of the categories of, you know, white. But anyways, on to Cardi B just going off on her fans. See, Cardi, they're giving her books, right? Now, I could tell when Cardi was fake gaslighting, showing off her fan book because she had nothing else to show her fan or deliver to her friends, but either a conversation about her ridiculous clout chasing marriage, or she would have to be throwing subliminals at Nicki Minaj for dropping a fire album. In the war of female rap demons, Nicki is queen. I mean, I'm sorry, she is the supreme demon. Maybe Cardi needs to be happy that she's not the queen. And then she can kind of fade off into the galaxy, apologize to God for selling her soul to that demonic ass industry, and try to make something of herself. Who knows? But anyways, or get low key, you know. But there's so many rumors about this girl practicing Santeria, all this satanic shit. It's like, look, I pray for everybody's soul. I pray for everybody's soul. I mean, I have empathy. I look at people like Cardi, and it's just like, it's sad. You know, some people are, it's interesting. That's a whole other conversation because, I kind of evaluated, you got this demonic industry and they're going against Nicki Minaj, right? And Nicki Minaj, is this person who's like, I'm just an organic artist. I want to be here. But it's like, there are times when I look at Nicki Minaj and it's more often than not, I see such an evil spirit attached to her, just like the same type of spirit actually that's attached to Cardi B. And even though talent-wise Nicki Minaj is way better than Cardi B, I can't bring myself to buy into fanaticism about any of these people because at the end of the day, they're just talented demons singing the sermons of Satan. That's what they're doing. I mean, I think about all of this music and some of this stuff. It's like they're just sermons of Satan. They're moves. They create ideas in our brains. It's like I study this stuff all the time. I was listening to Chicago drill rap a couple of years ago because I got obsessed with the murder of King Von. And it wasn't I never really paid attention to his music, but there was just like something about his spirit that was like, it drew me to kind of follow the road of drill rap and how sadly satanic it is, sadly satanic it is because obviously you have these young men, they believe they're demons. They believe that they should behave like demons because that is the only way that they can survive. And normal people can't comprehend stuff like that. And obviously I pray sometimes like, Lord, because you just want people like that to not, exist if that's how tormented they are. But everybody should have a chance for deliverance. And when I ask God, well, why is this world persistent in these cycles? Or why have they continued in these cycles? And, it's not for me as an imperfect human to understand God's reasonings. But, just like I believe that the devil is the master psychologist, I do believe that God is a master psychologist. And I think in these cycles, he's learned more and more about humans and our inclinations and our weaknesses and our limitations or weaknesses. And so, he's understood how to deliver us more and more. And I think, people don't want to give the Most High credit for being so supreme that, he would be continuously learning about us. So, I think we were looking at the Bible story this evening about Jonah, and my little son loves Bible stories. Of all my kids, he is the only one that I want to learn about God. I want to learn about Jesus. It's like, okay, let's do this. So we were looking at Jonah today, and we were talking about the lessons of Jonah. And the reason why Jonah was in the position that he was in was not just because he didn't want to do what God told him to do, but because he didn't feel like the people in Nineveh and all of their hateful, mean-spirited practices, he was so disgusted by the things that they did that he was like, why would you want to save them, right? He did not feel like they should be saved as an imperfect man. And so he opted not in the beginning not to do what God told him to do. And what happened? He got swallowed whole by a fish. Now he's in the belly of the fish, and he's praying to oh God, please give me a second chance, because he saw, sometimes, you could be, we as humans could think something, and God has a far more superior thought on it than we do. And that's all I can say about that. And